Let's pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this time to come together to make our best decisions for our city. Lord, just thank you for all our employees here at the city, department heads, and council members. Lord, just be with us as we make the best decisions we can for the city. Bless this meeting in your name. Amen. Let the record reflect all council members present. We need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Mountain.
Second.
Second by Mr. Richardson. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. We need approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Little.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The consent agenda passes. And we'll move into public forum. We have one person signed up for public comments. Ms. Johnson, you come before the podium. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. I came before y'all last month and I showed you pictures of my property. Within 2 to 3 days after that, I had a statement put in your mailbox. I don't know if any of you have checked your mailbox, but I have the same copy of the letter here. If you would like a copy, you can just take it and pass it around. I'm here tonight just to follow up. The city did come and put a little patch of dirt and threw out some grass seed beside my driveway. The grass is trying to come up in those little corners. That's the only thing that has been done. So I'm here tonight to see if I can get a date to when I can see the other problems that was that needs to be corrected, because I was told when this was going on, and I asked about this, I was told that that anything that was changed on my property would be corrected in the same order it was, or even better. So I'm here tonight to see when something is going to happen. It's been a month, and I haven't heard from any council member.
The attorney just advised me they're working on some stuff right now.
Mayor, just a brief report for the council is we have met with Department Head Mr. Brooks on 2 occasions. There are some property line issues. I know, I believe Ms. Johnson speaking about her property, but there are some other property owners that appear to be involved, and so we're working on getting the property lines addressed so that we can figure out exactly what issues are hers and what issues might be other property owners. So we do have a file. We've had a file for about a week and a half. We have been working through that, but we've got to get with some surveyors to be able to delineate property lines and see exactly whose property will be. So it is in process. Okay.
If I could say something to that. This strip of property beside me, I've been down there almost 40 years, and I have kept this up during that whole time. And with that being said, I was still told that it would be corrected as is or better than it was when they came down there. Plus, my property, some things that belonged to me were damaged in that property.
Okay, they're working.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to public hearings. We have a rezone 506 South Broad Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. This petition 16-00144, it's for the applicant Stephen G. Felker Jr. requesting a rezone of property located at 506 South Broad Street. There's several other addresses involved in this, so I'll go ahead and read those as well. 700 South Broad Street, 709 Alcovey Street. Property listed as 0 Alcovey Street with the county tax maps. 119 2nd Street, 129 2nd Street, and 100 Walker Street. The project has 1,556.17 feet of road frontage on South Broad Street. 1,395.81 feet of road frontage on Barrett Street, 59.94 feet of road frontage on Boulevard, 1,950.28 feet of road frontage on Alcovey Street, 875.44 feet of frontage on 2nd Street, 1,395.33 feet of frontage on Walker Drive, and 363.68 feet of frontage on Walker Street, and 549.57 feet of frontage on Mears Street. Property consists of approximately 130 acres. The recommendation of the Code Department for this change from R1 and M1 zoning to a PRD is for approval. The requested zoning will permit a use that is suitable in view of the use and development of adjacent and nearby properties. A change of zoning will not adversely affect the existing and adjacent properties. The subject property does have restricted economic use as currently zoned. The change of zoning will not cause an excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, or schools. The future land use plan indicates that the property should be low density residential and medium density residential and industrial. Again, the recommendation of the code office is for approval, as well as the planning and zoning's recommendation is for approval as well.
Property owner or representative.
I think it's right here. We may not need this, but if we do, we have it.
Okay. If you'll just introduce yourself to the council, I'm sure everybody
Sure.
knows, but just for the record, and I'll give you 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Mary Felker, and I'm here on behalf of Stephen Felker Jr., who had a broken leg, and that's the reason he's not here, much to his dismay, because this is his brainchild. So happy to be here and present, and I'm open to any questions that there may be. I was just going to talk about the project in general, and then if there are any other specifics, we can deal with those later. But in general, this plan is really based on playing off what already is incredible in the downtown area. We already have concerts, sidewalks, this revitalization of the historic downtown, the revitalization of the mills, which has been a huge driver for this being possible. And so this plays off of that in the sense that we add green space, we use connectivity with sidewalks and other greenways, whether that be biking, golf carting, walking, and also somewhat of a reprieve from having to use the automobile for every type of service you may use in your daily life. The idea is that you can walk to a restaurant, you can walk to a salon, you can go get something at a store, maybe that be grocery or a gift or whatever it may be. And so that's sort of the general idea and the kind of community we want to create. And really it's already here and it's enhancing that. And this plan, while it seems new in a sense, it's really taking what was great about the old way. New urbanism is a pre-World War II layout plan idea of how to create community before the automobile was, more of the central mode of transportation. And so you see alleyways, which is a new feature that might be somewhat different than what we have now. And the alleyways, I want to speak to those since that is somewhat new, is all about putting the automobile, the transformers, the trash cans, those things in the back. And so you can have these very attractive sidewalks, streetscapes, and then entryways into these homes with raised porches. Porch is a big feature of most of these housing types, whether it's a 1,000 square foot home or a 3,500 square foot home. This porch entryway idea. And creating these developmental controls so we have some comfort over what these housing types look like, about the materials that are used. And also, within those parameters, you're able to create an individual housing type. So not everything looks the same. And it came up at planning and zoning, what's a way that I, as someone just looking at this picture, can envision what it would feel like to walk down the street. And I used Walton Street as the example. It's somewhat different, right? There are no alleys. The housing types will be a little bit different. But the way you walk down the street, you enjoy the sidewalk, you know your neighbors. Not every house is exactly the same, but in general, the materials used, all of that sort of thing is really attractive. And so that's the idea here. And to also enhance what we have to offer as a city by creating housing types that can fit different groups while working together and mixing the young and the old. And that's a really important point for this. If you want to paint my dream, it would be you have the family with the 2 children, toward one end, and then you have the grandparents who are kind of tired of the larger yard and taking care of, a larger home, and they want a turnkey home so they can go for 2 weeks, but they're near their child and grandchild, and there's this walkability and this mixing of ages and wisdom and experience. So that's the whole kind of theme and idea of why this is important, why it's worked elsewhere. You'll see a few things to point out in the red corner near Walker Drive. That is potentially, there'll be some flexibility with this, but it's potentially a retirement area. And when I say that, I think a lot of times we get pictures of maybe what we already have in the city. However, I really hope that this is going to be something different, because I've been to communities where they have done these and it's really as though you're just walking down the street and you really hardly notice, yet all those services are provided and it's really well integrated into the fabric of the community. There's also a place for a school. Obviously, there'll be some flexibility with that depending on if there is a school that wants to do that. But again, the idea is using this outdoor experience, being able to have a classroom in the outdoors in these green spaces. There's also a creek that really is a great natural feature and amenity. So that's just another aspect, and that's that purple area right there. And then over here, this is 506 South Broad Street. It's an existing building, just to give you some reference. And then over here is a 10-acre tract, and that is mixed use, meaning on the front you've got commercial, and you see a few buildings in red that would have commercial spaces underneath, lofts on top, and then the purple is a really exciting idea, and particularly for this community with the antique success that we have around here. They're called live works, meaning you would work upstairs and have live upstairs and have a workspace in the bottom. And so it's really been a draw around the country for craftsmen and artists, because it's an economical way to live and also provide for your community and show your craft, and also create sort of this play off this already antique thriving community that we have here. So those are the main features, and that's kind of in a nutshell what we want to accomplish. And if there are any questions or anything that I can clarify from the materials that I gave, I am here to do that.
Anyone have any questions?
When's your start date?
So we need this. And when I get this, I am able to really have those meetings with people that I've identified that really can do this, because this has been done well around the country, and I'd really like to start at the top and try to get those people that have done it well before and are well financed and know about the materials, know how to get the materials, have the project managers, all those things. So that's our next step, and we've got that list, and we've started making those connections and having those discussions. We've done a lot of visiting around the country to sort of try to get the do's and don'ts from people that have already done this. So that's where we'll be next.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak for this release on 506 South Broad and all the other addresses? Anyone like to speak against this rezone? Okay. We'll close this part of the public hearing and bring it before council.
Move approval.
Have a motion by Mr. Bradley to approve, second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Thank you very much. Item B is a variance for a sign at 1100 North Broad Street.
Mayor and council, I need to advise y'all of a conflict. I have a financial interest in this real property located off of North Broad Street. My office would not be able to provide any legal advice on this issue, so if there was legal advice, we'd have to refer to conflict counsel.
Okay?
All right, thank you again. This is an application, petition number 16-00129. The applicant is Alcovey Surveying and Engineering. They request a variance to allow for a wider driveway, allow for a maximum parking spaces along the road frontage, and a monument sign of 50 square feet. The property is made up of 2.36 acres. The Code Department recommends approval, as does the Planning and Zoning Commission. Reading the rest of this application, the extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to this property because of size, shape, or topography are none. The literal application of this ordinance does not create an unnecessary hardship. The variance would not create substantial detriment to public good or impair the purposes or intent of this ordinance. The variance does not confer upon the property of the applicant a special privilege denied to other properties in the district. The special circumstances surrounding the request for the variance are the result of acts by the applicant. The variance is a request to permit a use of land, buildings, or structures which is not permitted by right or by conditional use in the district. The zoning proposal is not consistent with the construction and design standards and design criteria adopted by the city. The variance is not the minimum variance that will make possible economically viable use of land, building, or structure. Again, our recommendation is for approval. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to owner or representative here. Come before the podium, introduce yourself, and give you 10 minutes to address the council.
Excuse me, I'm John Bostwick. I'm the hopeful owner-operator of new Bojangles coming here to Monroe. I currently operate 4 other Bojangles in the surrounding area: Covington, Conyers, Loganville, and Athens. We have been working with Alcovey Surveying and talking with your planning department to try and come up with a solution where we could make this site work for us. We've given on many things, and the planning department has advised us on what they thought we should do. So I think we've come up with a plan that we can work with, and hopefully y'all can work with it as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anyone have any questions?
In other areas or other locations, did you do the bright yellow sign or did you change it to white?
Those are all yellow, but I've already changed this one to white, and I do have a mock-up of that with me if you want to see it.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, if we need to, we'll call you back.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak for this variance for sign 1100 North Broad Street? Anyone like to speak against this variance for the sign? Okay, hearing none, we'll close this part of the public comment and bring it before the council for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
For the, have a motion by Mr. Richardson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garrett. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The variance passes. Item C is variance for a sign at 1557 South Broad Street.
Yes, sir. This is petition number 16-00116 by Horizon Real Estate Group, LLC. The applicant, Horizon Real Estate Group, LLC, requests a variance to allow the use of the existing pylon sign for their business at 1557 South Broad Street. The property consists of 2.96 acres fronting on South Broad Street. The Code Department recommends approval with conditions, which I'll get to in a moment. The extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to the subject property because of size, shape, or topography are none. The literal application of this ordinance does not create an unnecessary hardship. The variance would not cause a substantial detriment to public good or impair purposes of the intent of this ordinance. The variance does not does confer upon the property of the applicant a special privilege denied to other properties in the district. The special circumstances surrounding the request for the variance are not the result of acts by the applicant. The variance is a request to permit the use, the variance is a request to permit a use of land, building, and structures which is not permitted by right or by conditional use in the district. The zoning proposal is not consistent with the construction and design standards and design criteria adopted by the City of Monroe. The variance is not the minimum variance that will make possible an economically viable use of the land, building, or structure. The recommended conditions are actually to modify the structure to make it compliant and no longer be a pylon sign, so that they build in the open area underneath the sign with stone or brick or some other similar material, and to also limit the actual signage area to the 35 square feet that is allowed for a monument sign. Complication that came up today as well, along with this variance, there's an application in for a car dealership that wants to go on that same property, and they have to have a sign, and you can't have an additional sign on a parcel that already contains a non-conforming sign. So if we grant them the variance to use it as is, it'd be still a non-conforming sign, and the other applicant wouldn't be able to have their sign until it was corrected and made conforming. So I think it'd probably be best to just approve it to be used as modified to be conforming.
I don't see them here anyway.
Don't either.
Do you see? Oh, yeah.
No. But anyhow, that's our recommendation, and the wrinkle that came up today with the gentleman wanting to put a car lot there and have a sign as well. So,
Could you just clarify once again what it would take to make that sign a conforming sign?
just basically taking the area, which is about 2 feet high, that's open between the two columns on each side, down to the ground from the bottom of the sign. It's already a rather large stone sign, and it's a very nice sign. There's no way to even argue that, but it's non-conforming. So just filling in that space with stone or brick would make it conforming, and they could use the oval that's already there, which calculates out to just about 35 square feet as it is, if they just fill in that open area.
So when I'm reading this, because there was some talk about just having shrubs or plants of some sort in front, that would not make it conforming.
No,
But if they, and it don't really have to cut it down, it's just they need to build it up with brick or stone.
yes, just
You
fill
don't
in,
change the sign that's there, you just add to it.
just make it a monument rather than
And
a
that would
pylon.
make it a conforming sign.
Yes, sir.
But in order to accommodate the car lot, you're saying
That any signage on that parcel would have to be conforming.
included in this sign as well, basically.
Well, this will be
Have to share
this will be an additional sign on Vine Street, but it's on the same parcel.
But if they make this sign conforming, then the additional sign could be possibly placed there.
That's correct.
Okay.
So the code allows for both signs?
Yes. Because it's separate street frontages.
Right. They're not here.
Would anybody else like to speak to the variance on the sign 1557 South Broad Street? Would anyone like to speak against this variance for the sign at 1557 South Broad Street? Okay, hearing none, we'll close this part of the public comments and bring it before council. Is there a motion?
a motion to require the applicant to bring the sign in conformance with our ordinances.
Motion by Ms. Malcolm,
Second.
second by Mr. Little. Any discussion?
And just to clarify, the motion is to approve this with the, making the sign conforming.
That is correct.
What I understand.
Right, Pat?
Yes, thank you.
Then that would allow, yeah, by filling in the areas to make a note.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Okay. Business is the approval of the June and July meeting schedule to change and consolidate each month for a work session / regular meeting on the first Tuesday of each month in June and July.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Mountain. Second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 2 is the approval of the out-of-state travel.
This has to do with Ms. Krause, right?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item number 3 is approval of CDBG RFD Grant Administrative Services. And that is, I lost my place. Sorry.
Alan Smith.
With Alan Smith.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Perkins,
Second.
second by Mr. Little. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. All right, this is going to conclude our regular meeting. We need to adjourn to executive session.
Mr. Mayor, before we adjourn, could I just make one comment? I realized today that a native of Monroe was today promoted from colonel to general, Ron Stevens. Family, a long-time Monroe family, and a lot of history here and everything with his parents, his grandparents, and today, up and forward, he was promoted from colonel to general. So I just wanted to congratulate General Stevens tonight.
All right, so we need a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Mr. Richardson,
Second.
second by Ms. Martin, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes.
Thank you.